What's up, everybody? So it is now week 8. Week 7 was very eventful. We had a lot go down. First, we had Oregon versus Ohio State, and probably one of the best nighttime games of the year. But I mean, LSU versus Ole Miss was also a pretty good game to watch last week. So Oregon, they beat Ohio State by 1 point. Will Howard slid with a couple seconds on the clock. Time expired. Oregon won by a point. Now, I'm going to break down that game a little bit more when I bring C4 on. You also had Penn State versus USC. It was another overtime game. So we had a lot of thrillers. We had LSU go to overtime. We had Penn State go to overtime. Penn State beat USC. Penn State came back 13 down to win that game. Another very impressive win for Penn State to stay undefeated and go into the top 25 ranked number 3. So the Big Ten, it's looked really good so far. With Indiana undefeated, Penn State undefeated, and Ohio State only losing to Oregon, and Oregon's currently number 2. The way it's looking, you're going to have a lot of Big Ten representation in the college playoffs this year. This is the way it's looking, the way as everything's playing out now. You still have a couple more games. It's only week 8 of the season, so you have more games to play to really see how everything's going to shake out. Bama's looked really scary. They lost to Vandy. They escaped against South Carolina. If it wasn't for, bad coaching decisions, South Carolina could have won that game. And then you've seen Georgia defensively look a little off. Mississippi State came back 31-41 was the final score. And Georgia has to go play Texas this week after Texas has done shown that they can play the same level of competition and play them better, beating Mississippi State 35-13. So it's going to be week 8 is a deciding factor. Now, let me go ahead and pull up the top 25 real quick. So this is the top 25 so far of the week 8. Now, a lot of things will change after this week. Obviously, Georgia probably will not be in the top 25 or let alone in the top. They probably will still be in the top 25, but they won't be in the top 10 after this week, probably. Now, I would hope they win. I'm a Georgia fan. I would hope they win. I'm going to be rooting for them to win this game. But if they lose, I don't see them staying in the top 25. Tennessee, they got a game against Bama this week. Tennessee could actually showcase top 10 talent if they can beat number 7 Alabama. And then, Miami has to play Louisville. That's a really important matchup for them. They're number 6. They're trying to make the case of being one of the 4, right? With Clemson being at number 10. And, depending on where they go, they could be either 2, 3, or 4. I don't think they're going to get 1. Texas is going to stay 1 unless Texas has a devastating string of losses. I don't see Texas losing that spot. LSU is also in conversation. They have to play Arkansas this week. So that's going to be a really important matchup. BYU has to play Oklahoma State. The Irish, they have an easier week. Now, Army and Navy is 2 teams who are in the top 25 who, when you look at it, which me and C4 is going to talk more about the top 25 later, but something we talked about before the recording was the way it's set up this year. It's a win. It's a win now kind of scenario where all you have to do is win and you're in. So like Army and Navy, hypothetically, if they were to go undefeated, that means they beat the Irish. The Irish now has 3 losses. And if everything else falls into place, you could have 3 group of 5 schools in because of their impressive resume. Now, that's probably not going to happen, but you could at least get 2 in if Boise State can climb into the top 10 and then Army or Navy gets to the number 12 spot, then you could have 2 group of 5 teams in. So I think this year's it's very competitive. I really personally like the competition. I think it's made college football that much better to watch. And I'm looking forward to where it's going to go from here on out. I want to see what kind of more expansions they're going to make. What else can we see in chaos? What teams can really thrive in this chaos? And what teams are going to really, surprise us and like make a push for the playoffs? So I think it's really interesting. I like it. Now, this is my projection. This is the current projection. Now, some things might be different depending on who you look. Like Fox has, I think, um, Iowa State, then Miami, and then Ohio State's number 6. Like it's different to where you look, but this is kind of the 12 teams who are currently in the projecting playoffs. Georgia number 5, Boise. The Georgia Boise matchup is kind of constant through everybody. Now, they have had Georgia at 7 and Ohio State at 5. It all depends on who you look at, but these are the 12 teams that are in there most of the time. Now, this is my projection. I don't see Bama or Georgia getting in. I see it being Tennessee, A&M, and LSU. Now, I think Boise State has the opportunity to climb into the top 5, depending on how the schedule plays out. This is what I like. I think that's how it's going to personally play out. Now, let me scramble through here real quick. Now, in other news, we've seen a lot of conference realignment so far. You have Utah State, Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, all leaving to the Pac-12. Now, the Mountain West was in the realm of not being eligible going forward. But now, starting in 2026, Hawaii will be the 8th team for the Mountain West. So we're seeing a lot of change up. The landscape is going to change a lot. The Big 12 will now have Washington. It will also have, or Washington State. It will also have Oregon State, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah State are all the teams that are in potential to be in the Big 12. And then they're also talking to UTEP from the Conference USA for another team to be added to the Big 12. So by this time next year or by 2026, you're going to see the whole landscape of college football change once again. And I like to see the teams move. I think Fresno State and Boise State have, consistently been teams that are on verges of being great teams and can, pose a threat to some of the other powerhouses in the Power Four. Utah State, San Diego moving up. I think their programs have been on an upward projection over the last several years. So it's good to see them finally getting into moving up conferences. I think another team I would have liked to see move up, I think UNLV is kind of moving up, but I think they're a team that could take over the Mountain West now. So there's a lot of conference realignment. It's interesting to see it. It's fun to talk about. But in other news, former LSU player Gregory Brooks files a lawsuit against LSU. Now, little background on Brooks. He is a former LSU safety. He transferred from Arkansas to LSU. Now, of August 5th, Brooks experienced nausea and dizziness during practice and vomited and was treated for nausea. I probably said that wrong. I'm so sorry about my speech. Now, August 7th through 11th, symptoms worsened, but trainers continue to clear him for practice. LSU coaching staff allegedly pressured him into playing, warning him he could lose his starting position. September 13th, after weeks of worsening symptoms, Brooks finally got an MRI, and it was revealed to be a brain tumor, and emergency surgery was scheduled. Now, He is in the lawsuit. It's a 13-page lawsuit, and it's saying that the LSU coaching staff pressured him into playing against his will, and that it was their fault why he is currently unable to walk or use his right hand and still undergoing rehabilitation. Now, the hearing. So, that is a lot of mess right there. They did say that Brian Kelly responded. Let me get that real quick because they said he responded, and I want to actually like cover like put his words out there and not say he said something ill will. Now, Kelly did respond. In his response, he did not address the lawsuit, but he acknowledged the team's love and support for Brooks. He also emphasized focusing on Brooks' well-being, distancing himself from any legal ramifications. He did say in the statement, lawsuit came out in our culture and society every day, but that doesn't change the team's love for Greg. So, hey, that is a really serious situation right there. I mean, if it is true that coaches pressured him into playing despite his illness, when you're a coach, you're supposed to see if your players and understand, hey, if they're ill, you have to make sure you pressure them into getting help and not putting them on the field. So if a player's hurt, you're trying to persuade them on rehabilitation and recovering from whatever injury or sickness they're involved in, because you want them at 100% on the field. Now, there's certain situations like always, you want to be hard on your players, but there's certain situations where you kind of be lenient and come off of them a little bit so they can recover. Hopefully, everything works out for him. I hope he recovers well. And that's my opinions on the matter. I'm not going to go in and say who's right, who's wrong. I hope he recovers well. I hope everything goes great for him and he can hopefully get back on the field and play football again. Now, with all that, I'm going to go ahead and cut it right here. I'm going to bring my boy C4 on so we can dive into the top 25 a little bit more and do our prime times picks. What's up, everybody? So we're back. I got C4 back with me.
Yeah.
And earlier, I mentioned the top 25. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get your thoughts on this top 25. Let me get it up real quick. You see it?
Yeah, I see it.
So what's your opinion of it?
Um, well, first off, you already know Georgia being top five is crazy.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
I
that's
I really don't like that at all.
that's that's disrespectful. Um, Bama being ahead of LSU, no bias is crazy. And then, I don't like Clemson top 10 either.
Mm-mm.
I don't like it. Everything else, I say is pretty smooth. I feel Missouri is getting very disrespected by everyone in the country because I'll be admit I forgot they were a football team at one point and they only lost one game. That's kind of disrespectful.
It really is disrespectful. And I know I told you yesterday, I think, when I was watching the committee, or not the committee, but the college football playoff last night, and the prediction came out with Georgia being number 5, and they said the reason why is because the uncomparable loss that Bama has to Vandy.
That's
Basically, what they're
right. And
saying,
then
they're they're shaft riding, because I'm not going to say that. They're shaft riding right now, and they're just trying to come up with a reason to put Georgia in the top 5. As a Georgia fan,
and keep it real.
I realize this because
And keep it real.
that means
If
they're
oh
saying
wait, what?
that
Go ahead.
So that means if they're saying the uncomparable loss, like Bama losing to Vandy is uncomparable, then that means USC is worse than Vandy because LSU only lost to USC. I would think,
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was literally about to say, keep it real. If Vandy is uncomparable, that means LSU should be ranked number 7.
facts. And that means Clemson should be ranked higher than Bama because they're saying that Georgia is just having an off night. So that means Bama shouldn't even be number 7, but they're going to justify Bama being 7 for some odd reason. I quit watching after that. I really did because like it makes absolutely no sense. Like Tennessee's at 11 for what? They lost in Arkansas. And then
Yeah.
Oklahoma's not even in the top 25 anymore, but Ole Miss, who lost to LSU and an unranked team is, it makes no sense. It's
And
there's
then especially because like I've explained it before, these rankings, if you're like, let's say you're ranked number 10, that means the committee thinks there are 9 teams that can beat you.
facts. And then like
Tennessee is ranked number 11. There aren't 10 teams in the country that can beat Tennessee right now. That's crazy.
no, because Clemson's not going to be able to compete with Tennessee's defense. Iowa State has already played a high ranked defense, but if Tennessee can shut them out, I think Tennessee has a better offense. And then when you look at BYU, BYU destroyed their ranked opponent, and Iowa State barely won. So you're
Facts.
saying that BYU is worse than an Iowa State team who barely could win to an Iowa team who's not even in the top 25 anymore, but BYU who destroyed Kansas State is only 13?
Yeah, that's kind of wild. And then you think about it, um, especially with Tennessee. We've talked about this before. Me playing, you coaching. You know goodness well, no matter if you, especially now in this playoff, you can afford one loss.
Hmm.
Tennessee has not truly opened their playbook. Yes, they lost to Arkansas. It was a defensive game. Cool. But I hope people realize that Tennessee has plays specifically for Bama and Georgia that no matter if they were up, down, tied, they're not going to show those plays.
Yeah,
They're not going to open the playbook.
watching that Arkansas game, like I even told you during the game, like Tennessee does not look like they're 100, like they're operating at 100%. But that's also a coaching error. Like as a
Yeah,
coach, you go into certain games like, okay, I don't want to play this out, but then if you lose the game, you can go, well, fuck, maybe
yeah,
I should have called that play. Maybe it was a good time to open up the playbook a little bit. But
sure.
you don't want to go into a game and say, okay, we're going to pull it all out, and then when Bama watches the film, they can see exactly where you're going. Obviously, there's
Exactly.
there's going to be coaching errors because you don't want to show everything at one time. So
No,
coaches are going to make mistakes.
and that's what people don't understand. Oh, they lost to Arkansas. I'm not gonna say Arkansas ain't play a good game. They did play a good game,
Yeah.
but at some point, people got to understand. Sometimes coaches choose to take an L. Coming from a player, sometimes a team chooses, okay, we'll take the loss on this one because I don't want Bama and Georgia knowing some plays I got for them. Like sometimes you're just like, okay, I don't want to call this because we got Bama in a couple weeks. I can't call it right
Yeah, because it's the whole thing with Ohio State versus Oregon. Like in that situation, personally, I would have did the field goal. I would kick the field goal. But it's all about who you trust more in that situation. He felt like he can trust Will Howard. So he gave it to
now.
Will Howard instead of the kicker. So like coaches are going to make mistakes. They're going to cost them the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad team. So like
No,
Nico cost them the game at the end, but he's a freshman. He's going to make the mistakes. Defensively, they're still one of the better ones in the country.
facts. And then every freshman has a freshman mistake. I always call it. Nico had his in regular season. Okay. I want y'all to see how he acts this week and next week. Please. Especially, and this is the perfect time for Nico to make mistakes, solely for the fact that he has the number one defense to bail him out. He's in a perfect situation. Go ahead and get your mistakes out now, bro. because you got a defense who's going to bail you out. I say 7 out of 10 times.
Facts.
You have the defense. This is the perfect time for you to put your freshman in there, let him make all his mistakes, let him get bailed out. So then, when it gets time for crunch time, oh, he's ready to perform. He's ready.
Facts. Go ahead and skip over that. You're gonna have to edit that. I probably won't even edit that out. Just go ahead
Yeah.
and skip over that. Because now I don't want to take up too much time because I know me and you, we can go for days talking about the top 25 because like one day I'm going to be on the committee. I'm saying that now. One day I'm going to be on this committee and I'm going to figure out why there's so much bias.
Oh, when you find out, please let me know.
I got to find out who's getting paid because come on, man. I'm a Georgia fan, but I'm not that delusional. So that's why Georgia versus Texas is the game one. They're not the prime time game this week. I've said that right now. You look at the tell to tape, Georgia 33 points per game. They allow 17. I mean, that necessarily does not tell the story of their defense because um, they have no linebackers. I've watched them most of the season. The linebacker play is not there. Their secondary is having to cover up for it. I mean, there's been a lot of plays I've seen where Malachi Starks has to play 7 or 8 yards off the ball. Your typical safety is not playing 7 yards off the ball. I mean, a linebacker plays about 5 to 7. So your safety is like 10 yards deep. They're not 7 or 8 yards off the ball. He's in shorter because our linebackers can't make the play. But it's also because of all our off the field and injuries we've had. So I don't see Georgia winning this game, but I'm still going to ride with them.
Well, I mean, you already know what I got. I got I got Tennessee winning playoffs. So I mean, not well. Well, no, not, no, hold on. I got Texas. I got Texas winning SEC.
Yeah.
I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I'm saying a little too much. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Our
But yeah,
upset game of the week. You're going to love our upset game of the week.
I bet. But yeah, I definitely got.
Texas.
Yeah, I got Texas winning the SEC, so I got Texas beating Georgia.
Yeah.
But
So,
ooh, is this the
yeah.
upset?
This is the upset game of the week. I looked at it, Arkansas at 4-2. Like we mentioned earlier, they they can play at a very playoff level caliber if they wanted to. So it all depends on if they want to. And they're
Mm.
playing at home against a LSU team who just had to slug it out against Ole Miss.
You know what's crazy? I'm not even mad at that. Why am I not mad at that? Because yeah, they're playing at Arkansas. LSU might have to contend, the thoughts of becoming complacent.
Mm-hmm.
Got my words mixed up. They and then think about it. Arkansas has actually already proven they can be a top 10 team this year.
Yeah.
So why not do it again? And wasn't Tennessee at their crib?
Yeah, Tennessee was, I want to say, yeah, Tennessee was at their crib.
Oh, that's not a. Actually, I ain't even mad at that.
Yes,
I'm not even mad.
I'm running with the upset this week. I'm gonna go with Arkansas.
But I mean, I can't. If I was in that, I would go, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go at because it looks like I don't know. Coach Raymond, he might done packed up BBU and put it in his bag, and he might have done brought it back to LSU. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh, DBU coming back. That's going to be a feisty one right there.
Uh,
Now, a game of the week. A game of the week's a feisty one too. Now, Tennessee versus Bama, 7 versus 11. You got probably the best defense in the SEC, let alone in the country. 79 yards per game, 179 yards allowed passing. Like Jalen Milrows, they're going to get a defensive. They're going to see a defense
oh
tonight.
yeah, and the thing about Tennessee, they have the best front seven in the
Yes, their front seven is phenomenal. They have a deep
just as
rotation.
much. Yeah, crazy.
Like
It's crazy work.
they have like one set, then they have two sets, and then they got a third set. It's not like you're bringing in one or two guys per. No, they're bringing in sets. They're
Yeah,
bringing in sets at a time, and that's as a defensive guy, I love that. Like I'm a Georgia guy. I love Georgia. I'll forever be a diehard Georgia fan. But to see like front seven come in at sets is phenomenal. I love it. I love it to death.
yeah. And I'm gonna be real. This might be a little, this might be a little controversial, but they beat Bama by 10 points or more.
Beat by 10 points or more is a good one.
They,
See, because I'm rocking with Tennessee in this one. A lot of
yeah,
reason I'm coming with Tennessee is because look, I'm down right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm I'm really down. I think what last week was 17 and 6. I was 6 and 17. I think this week I am what did we go last week? 10 and 2. So I'm like 8 and 19 right now. You're like 19 and 8. So like I'm having to like come back from like 10 games down. All right. So I
yeah,
have to try to go with a win here this week.
yeah. You gotta go because think about it. That front seven, I'm not gonna lie. Jalen Milroe running versus that linebacker that Tennessee has, that matchup is about to be crazy because I'd say he's the fastest linebacker in coming out this
Yeah. I think
year.
there's a little subtlety. There's a little mistakes in the linebacking core I've seen, but as long as they clean up the flaws, then they should be fine. I'm going to
Yeah,
go Tennessee.
and then you realize what that secondary is about to do to Ryan Williams this week. Oh my man. Okay, so
Yeah,
I
I think
got
that
this.
corner, I think they're saying that corner's like in the top five corner going into this year's draft.
Yeah,
So,
y'all about to see Bama. This is going to be a game we're thinking Tennessee. Tennessee's going to open their playbook. Bama's going to have to do the same.
oh yeah, without a doubt, this is going to be a playbook opening game because the way Bama has looked against South Carolina, who if it wasn't for Beamer ball, they would have won that game. And then the way Vandy never gave up the lead the entire time, and then Georgia's come back in the third and fourth quarter. There's flaws to be that's clearly on film, and if they can't figure out how to clean it up, Tennessee's going to expose it all night.
Oh, definitely.
And we remember what happened the last time Bama came to the Neyland Stadium.
Yep. Field goal went all the way to the river, just like Vanderbilt's.
Imagine one state owning you in 1 year is crazy. But with all that, our top 25 discussion is in. Our primetime picks are in. I'm looking to go 2-1 this week because I know Georgia's going to lose, but I'm not going to veer off from choosing Georgia. So 2-1 is the goal. With all that, make sure y'all check the description, lock in on our other social medias, and like always, peace.
Peace.